Hello everyone, this is Stephen Balch, your instructor for Computer Applications Online at Ozarka College. In this video, I'm going to take you through the first few pages of Excel Module 3. In this module, we're going to learn to work with the large worksheet and do some charting and some what-if analysis. Alright, so if you look on page EX3-2 in your book, at the bottom there it shows you what the finished worksheet should look like, and then on page 3-3 at the top it shows you what the clustered column chart should look like when we get done. Alright, and so what we're going to do is go ahead and get started here. We're going to go ahead and open up Excel by clicking the Start button and then the Excel tile on the Start menu. Then we're going to click the blank workbook thumbnail and maximize our window. And I'm going to zoom in just a little bit on my worksheet just so I can see it a little bit better. You may want to do the same. And then on page 3-5, what we're going to do is go ahead and type in the title of the worksheet into cell A1. And we're going to move down to cell A2 and type in the subtitle. 6-month financial projection. Alright. Then you're going to press the Enter key to move down to cell A3. And we're going to apply the slice theme to the workbook. Okay. This is step 4 on page 3-5. It says to apply the slice theme. So we're going to go to page layout up on the ribbon. Just like we did in module 2, we're going to go to the themes button on the page layout tab. And then we're going to find the slice theme. So you'll have to scroll through until you find it. There it is right there. They're not all in alphabetical order, so if you don't see it where you think it should be, just keep looking and you'll find it. It's the slice theme right there, so you'll click on that. And of course the theme just changes the font and the font size and so forth. It'll dictate the colors that we have available later on when we format the worksheet. Alright, so make sure you don't skip that step. Alright, on page 3-6, we're going to start typing in the column titles. But before we do, let's go ahead and click the Home tab up on the ribbon because we're going to need that in just a minute. So in cell B, in cell B3, you're going to type in the first column title, which is January. Alright, and then on the Home tab, what we want to do is to save some horizontal space in our worksheet, we're going to have the column titles appear at an angle in the cell, okay, at a 75-degree angle. Alright, so to do that, you're going to finalize the entry in the cell by clicking the Enter button up on the formula bar. And then you're going to make sure that the Home tab is selected up on the ribbon. And then in the alignment group, you're going to click on the Format Cells dialog box launcher. Alright, so you're going to click on the dialog box launcher here in the alignment group. And over on the right hand side, you'll see the orientation area. And what you'll do is you'll have to look in your book on the bottom picture on page 3-6 in your book, figure 3-5, and see where it wants us to change that orientation on this orientation graph over here on the Format Cells dialog box. And it's that one right there. You can also, if you want to, just type in 75 as the degrees. You can do it either way. You can either click where it shows it in the picture in your book, or you can just type in 75 down here on the degrees box. We're just changing it to 75 degree angle. And then once you have that done, you're going to click OK at the bottom of the dialog box. And what it does, it just changes the angle of the text to that 75 degree angle. And it's going to allow us to type more in our worksheet and get more on one page if we were to print the worksheet itself. Okay? Alright. So we've got that done. Now we're going to use the fill handle to create a series of month names. So we're going to make sure that cell B3 is still the active cell. That's the one that's selected. And then we're going to point to the fill handle and drag through cell G3. Alright. What that's going to do is that's going to copy all the rest of the months through June, through column G in the worksheet. Alright. And once we have that done, then we're going to click on cell H3 and type in total, because we're going to get our row totals later. And then we're going to move to cell I3 and type in chart, because we're going to insert some charts inside the actual cells of our worksheet later. Alright. And then go ahead and press the right arrow key once you get chart typed in, just to finalize that entry. And then on page 3-9, it wants us to change some of the column widths of our worksheet. So on page 3-9, it wants us to move the pointer to the boundary between column heading A and column heading B. So right up here on the column headings, we're just going to point to the right edge of the column A heading where the mouse pointer changes to a split double arrow. And then we're going to drag to the right until 38.5 displays as the width of the column. So we're going to have to go all the way over to 38.5. So we're going to be widening it out quite a bit here. 38.5. Sometimes it's hard to get right on that, but you have to do the best you can to get right on that size that it wants us to get to. Right there. Okay? So 38.5. If you don't get it the first time, go ahead and just move your pointer back on that right side of that column heading and try it again. Sometimes if you move the mouse just a little bit when you release it, it won't stay on the size that you want. And so you can always check it by just pointing to that right side of that column heading and just clicking down with the mouse and check it and make sure that it's correct. Alright. You may have to tweak it a little bit to get it right on that 38.5. Alright, once we've done that, we need to click the column B heading. So we're going to point to the column B heading up here where the mouse pointer is pointing down towards the column. And then we're going to click. And then we're going to drag from there all the way through the column G heading. Alright, so we're going to go from B through G, and then we're going to move the pointer to the boundary between column headings B and C. And we're going to change the column width of these columns to 15.00. So we're going to drag to the right until 15.00 displays as the width. Like that. Okay? And it just changes all those at one time. since we had them all selected. Alright, and then we're going to click on the column H heading to select it, and we're going to point to the right boundary of the column H heading and drag to the right until 18.00 displays as the width of that column, like that. And again, if you move the mouse just a little bit when you release, just keep trying it till you get right on that 18.00 in this case. Alright, so we've got that. And then on page 3-10 in your book, it wants us to start entering in the row headings or row titles. Okay? So we're going to go over here and click on cell A4 and type in what's shown there on the step 1 on page 3-10. It might be easier for you to figure out what column title, or not column titles, row titles you need to type in by looking at figure 3-11 on page 3-10 in your book. Alright, so we're just going to use that picture there to see what row titles we need to type in. So in cell A4, we're going to type in revenue, and then we're going to press enter to move down to cell A5, or you can use the down arrow key, however you want to do it. Then we're going to type in cost of goods sold into cell A5. And we're going to press the enter key to move down to cell A6. And we're going to type in gross margin in that cell. And then we're going to move down to cell A8. So you can either hit enter twice, or you can press the down arrow key twice, or just click on cell A8, however you want to do it. And then in cell A8, we're going to type in expenses. Press the enter key to move down to cell A9. Type in bonus. And then you're just going to finish out the rest of that column A. So salary goes into A10, and then site rental into cell A11. And then in A12, we're going to type in marketing. And then in A13, miscellaneous. And then in A14, we're going to type in total expenses. And then we're going to skip a row and move down to cell A16 and type in operating income. The reason that we skipped a couple of rows, like row 7 and row 15, is those are going to be separations between different portions of our worksheet. Alright? For example, in the top portion of our worksheet, we're going to be looking at revenue, and then the bottom, kind of the middle portion of our worksheet, we're going to be looking at some of the expenses for our business, and then the bottom row 16, is going to be the difference between our revenue and our expenses, which is going to be our operating income. Alright, so once you get the entry into cell A16, you're going to click on an empty cell like cell A18 just to deselect everything. Alright, so we've done the first bulleted item there under step 1 on page 3-10. We still need to do the last two bulleted items here. So we're going to click on cell A5, and we're going to go up to the alignment group on the home tab, and we're going to click on the increase indent button. Okay, that just indents that row title a little bit to the right, because cost of goods sold is going to be a part of it's going to be one element of revenue, and so we're going to basically have to take revenue minus cost of goods sold to get the gross margin, and so that's why we're indenting it there. Alright, we also need to indent the titles in cells A9 through A13. So we're going to click on cell A9 and drag through A13, just using the block plus sign mouse pointer, not the fill handle. Alright, and then you're going to click on the increase indent button one time, okay? And it just indents all the expenses under the expenses heading. Alright, and so we've got that. Now we can click on an empty cell like cell A18 just to deselect everything. Alright, then on page 3-11, we're going to start typing in our what-if assumptions. Alright, and these what-if assumptions are just going to be basically looking at all these expenses as a percentage of our revenue. So once we know what our revenue is, we're going to basically be able to kind of tweak our worksheet as we need to get the numbers to work out the way that we want them by changing the what if assumptions about our expenses. All right, you'll see more about what I mean by that in just a minute. All right, so we're going to need to type in the what if assumptions down at the bottom of the worksheet. So we need to click on cell A18 if we haven't already, and then we're going to copy and paste some of the information for our what if assumptions, because it's going to be a lot of it's going to be the same as the titles that we've already typed in. And so we're going to select cell A18 and type in what if assumptions as the title. So what if assumptions as the title in cell A18, and then click the enter button up on the formula bar to finalize that entry. Then we're going to select the range A9 through A13, which are all of our expenses, all of our specific expenses under the expenses heading. And then we're going to click the copy button up on the clipboard group of the home tab. Alright, then we're going to click cell A19, and on page 3-12, then we're going to click the paste button to paste all of those expense titles in. Okay? Alright, and then you're going to press the escape key on your keyboard to close out of the copy and paste. Okay? Alright. Just to kind of remove that source area and deactivate the paste button. Alright, so once we've got that done, then we need to modify some of those titles under the what if assumptions title there. So on page 3-14, we need to insert a row. So we're going to right click row heading 20. And on the shortcut menu, we're going to click insert, and it'll insert a row right above, it's going to insert it above the row that we had selected. And then we need to insert what it says there on step 2 on the bottom of page 3-14. We need to insert sales revenue for bonus in cell A20. Alright, so sales revenue for bonus. Alright, then you're going to right click on row heading 19. And click insert on the shortcut menu. It'll insert a row, and on the insert options button, we're going to click on that little insert options button and click on format same as below. Alright, so that it basically so that it indents this title that we're about to type in, and we're going to type in it into cell A19. We're going to type in margin, all right, as the row title. And then we're going to click the enter button up on our formula bar to finalize that entry, and just make sure you have all of those titles correct under the what if assumptions. You should have right under what if assumptions should be margin, bonus, sales revenue for bonus, salary, site rental, marketing, and miscellaneous. Just make sure you have all that correct. Alright, then we're going to save this workbook. So just click on an empty cell, like cell A27, and then click on your save button on the quick access toolbar, or you can click file and then save as, however you want to do it. And then you're going to click browse, and it tells us what to save this as on step 4 on page 3-15. So we're going to save it as SC underscore EX underscore 3 underscore Manola, alright, which is just the name of the company. And we're going to navigate in the upper pane of the Save As dialog box. You'll need to navigate to the folder where you're saving your work for this class. Alright. And then click Save. Alright. Now that we've got that done, our next step is to enter the numbers into the worksheet. Okay. So on page 3-17, and we're going to enter these numbers in this worksheet a little bit differently than we did in modules 1 and 2. In modules 1 and 2, if you remember, we inserted just the digits of the number, and then we formatted them as currency or comma style format or percent style format later on. In this particular module, we're going to actually insert the dollar signs and the percent signs as we insert the numbers, so that it formats them as we're entering them. Okay. So on step 1 on the top of page 3-17 in your book, we're going to need to click on cell B19, because we're going to insert the what if assumptions here. And in cell B19 we need to type in that number exactly the way it's shown, 81.25%. Alright, and then you're going to click on cell B20 and type in the number exactly the way it's shown, 5,000.00. Okay, type it in exactly the way it's shown, and then click on cell B21, and you're going to type in 1,250,000.00. Alright, make sure you type it in exactly the way it's shown. Alright, then you're going to move down to cell B22 and type in 20.00%. And then you're going to move down to cell B23 and type in 10.00%. And make sure you type the percent there at the end, because there's a lot of difference between 10 and 10%. Okay? So be careful when you're typing these. These assumptions are going to determine the calculated values for a good portion of our worksheet. And so this part of the worksheet is a good place to make sure that you're taking your time and getting everything typed exactly the way it's shown. Alright, in cell B24, we're going to type in 3.50%. And then we're going to move down to cell B25 and type in 5.00%. Okay? Now, before you do anything else, before you go further in this worksheet, check all those numbers in cells B19 through B25. Those numbers must be exact for your worksheet to be correct. Okay? Because again, all these assumptions that we're making about how expenses are going to be related to our revenue as a percentage of our revenue, These what-if assumption numbers are going to be what determines the numbers in the rest of our worksheet. And so make sure that these numbers are correct. Okay? Double check them, triple check them, make sure they're correct. It's that important. Okay? Alright, once you get those checked and you make sure they're correct there, you're going to move to cell H. Actually, no. I skipped a step. Just a second. We need to actually click the Home tab if we haven't already. And on step 2, under to enter the projected monthly sales, on the bottom of page 3-17, we actually need to click on cell B4. Sorry about that. Cell B4, and we need to type in the revenue in that row 4 of the worksheet for the 6 months of the year that we're looking at here, January through June. So we're going to type that number exactly the way it's shown into cell B4. So 1, 470, 500.00. And again, the reason we're typing the commas and the leading zeros for the decimal points, decimal places, is just basically so that the number is formatted the way that we want it as we're entering it into the worksheet. Okay? Alright, once you get that number entered into cell B4, you're going to move to cell C4 and type in what's shown for cell C4, which is 1, 405, 000.00. Then you're going to move to cell D4 and type that number in, which is 1, 186, 600.00. Then you're going to move to cell E4 and type in the number that's shown there, which is 1, 498, 000.00. Then you're going to move to cell F4 and type in the number that's shown, which is 1, 102, 900.00. And then our last number here for row 4 is going to be in cell G4, and it is 1, 145, 300.00. Okay? And once you get that last number typed in, you're going to click the Enter button or move to another cell just to finalize that entry. And then, again, these numbers are also critical to your worksheet. So go through each one of them and double check them and make sure they're correct. Alright? Just double check everything. Make sure you've got the number it typed in exactly the way it's shown. Alright. Once you've checked your numbers, then you're going to click on cell H4. And we're going to click the sum button to get the sum of that row of numbers that we just typed in. And you'll see the moving marquee or the moving border or the marquee around the proposed range. Just make sure that's correct and then press enter or click the enter box or enter button on your formula bar and check that total. Make sure it's correct. Alright, shows you the correct total there on the bottom of page 3-17 in your book. Alright, next thing we need to do on page 3-18 is we need to insert the date at the top of our worksheet. Specifically, we need to click on cell H1, and there's a special function in Excel that allows you to very quickly and easily insert the current date and time into the worksheet. It's called the now function, and it explains about the now function there on page 3-18 in your book. Alright, so what we're going to do is, again, make sure that cell H1 is selected. We're going to go over to the Insert Function button on the left side of the formula bar. It's that little button that looks like a little F with the subscript X next to it. It's right to the right of the enter button that we've been using. Okay, so we're going to click on insert function, and we're going to click in the or select a category box here. We're going to need to find the date and time category. Okay, so in the or select a category box, you're going to change that box to date and time. Alright, and then you'll see all of the functions that deal with date and time in Excel. And the one that we want to use is the now function. So we're going to scroll down until we find the now function. They're all in alphabetical order. So you're going to find the now function, click on it, and then click OK. Alright, and it'll insert the now function into that cell, into cell H1 of our worksheet. And then we're going to click OK in the function arguments box, and it'll insert the current date and time in cell H1. Now, the way that the default setting for the format for the date and time is not what we want for this worksheet. So what we're going to do is make sure that cell H1 is selected. We're going to right click on cell H1, and we're going to click on Format Cells down at the bottom, and that'll open up the Format Cells dialog box. And then what we're going to do is click the Number tab, which is the first tab up here, and we're going to click Date in the category box right here, and then it will show various date formats under the type heading over here, and we want to choose the option that you see selected there on page 3-19 in your book, the first picture, figure 3-21. It points you to the correct date format there. Okay, it's basically the third option under type. Alright, where it shows the month, or actually it shows the year, and then the month of the year, and then the day of the month. Okay, so once you get that date type selected, click OK, and it will insert the date into the cell, in cell H1 of the worksheet. And then it wants us to double click the border between columns H and I heading to kind of widen out that, or actually to kind of set that column H column width to best fit. It's going to actually shrink that column a little bit, alright, to set it to best fit, because it was actually too wide for what we needed in that particular column of the worksheet. And once you get that done, you're going to click the Save button up on the Quick Access toolbar to save the changes that we made since the first time we saved. And then that's going to be the end of this part 1 of Excel Module 3. In the next module, I will start on page 3-20 and take you through the process of entering the formulas in the worksheet. Alright, so I will see you in the next video. Thank you.